Welcome to Sidebar, where you vote on the internet's biggest buttholes. Am I the butthole because an employee died after I fired her? I manage a retail shop in a tourist city. I hired an applicant named Bruce. He had a full-time job, but he was perfect for the 16-ish hours I was looking to cover. Months later, I was looking for seasonal help. Bruce recommended his roommate, a woman with a medical assistant background named Sally. Around the holidays, a lot of people step outside their chosen fields to earn more money. Sally's references checked out and I hired her. Sally's training period was uneventful. During that time, I learned she had type 1 diabetes. We worked out a break schedule so she could eat/test whenever she needed. It wasn't a hardship to accommodate her. Her performance was disappointing. When asking for ID with credit card, she would make comments like, "You gained so much weight since this picture. This says you're blonde. Your hair is blue. I can't accept this." She would argue about tasks, saying she's a cashier and isn't paid enough to sweep the floor or tidy up merchandise. The job role specified both tasks. She didn't accept feedback gracefully. I told her her employment was in jeopardy. Bruce calls me. They are now married. They sped up the relationship because she needed the health care and he needed her to be on the lease of his apartment. On my end, all I had to do was have them sign liability waivers and schedule them apart. A few weeks later, I get a customer complaining Sally denied him service because she didn't like his tattoos. A second customer calls to complain that not only did Sally deny service because of tattoos, but she pulled down her pants to show him a tattoo on her backside. On camera, I find Sally mooning the customer. I typed up a termination notice and fired her. She refused to sign it or take a copy. I treated the situation as any other. Stuck to she is no longer with the company. If asked, Bruce didn't quit, but he got angry at me not long after. Sally had applied for a hospital job and was denied because I gave a bad reference. No one had called me for reference. Sally told him I fired her for being messy and combative about breaks. This is not true, but I can't tell Bruce that. Unless Sally signs a disclosure, I can't share any details of her employment/termination with anyone. I called the hospital that denied Sally. The HR department told me that they had an application from her but had not reached out for references as she was not being considered. What I infer from this is, Sally lied to Bruce about why she was fired, and then when the job search went bad, she told Bruce I was ruining her prospects. Soon after Bruce calls, he'd been trying to call Sally but she didn't answer. He went home from his other job and found her dead. Complications from diabetes. Bruce quits. He says she would still be alive if I hadn't fired her or sabotaged her. That I am the reason his wife is dead. I didn't tell him she lied to him. I don't see any way that would help him with his grief. Am I the butthole? Is OP a butthole? H is for human has a clear verdict. Not a butthole. A healthcare system that makes staying alive conditional on employment is the butthole. Not you. Am I the butthole for letting my friend sniff my girlfriend? One of my friends, 23M, is a bit of a prankster and enjoys having fun. He is really beloved by our group. I recently got into a relationship with a girl who doesn't really know my friends, so the 5 of us decided to meet up at an outdoor patio for drinks. We all met up there and immediately my friend goes up to my girlfriend, introduces himself, and puts both his hands on the walls next to her, with her being in between both of his arms. He wasn't touching her or anything, and I thought it was pretty funny so far. He then says you looks fresh and sniffs her neck and deeply inhales. I was laughing so hard that he would do that immediately upon meeting her. She was silent for most of the night, and on the way home, she yelled that I should have stepped in and stopped him from sniffing her. I told her that he didn't mean anything by it, and that is just his humor. She called him disgusting and I told her she's being out of line and if she wanted him to stop, she should have said something instead of being passive-aggressive about it. I don't think I am the butthole because she's a big girl and can stand up for herself. And again, he never made physical contact with her. Is the poster nothing but a big butthole? The Reddit community has feedback. Yes, a butthole. Why many women freeze up and do nothing when men do these things because some men become violent. Being a big girl has nothing to do with it. Our adrenal response is fight, flight, or freeze. She froze. You should have stood up for her, or learned and apologized and not let it happen again. Also, it is not funny to do this to strange women. He wouldn't dare do it to a man. He does it to make women uncomfortable and scare them. Am I the butthole for cussing and getting drunk in front of my kindergarten students? I'm a kindergarten teacher. I teach in-person classes that are socially distanced, as well as online classes. Last weekend was my 27th birthday. I went to a restaurant with a couple friends for outdoor dining. While we were there, 2 moms come in with their children and are seated behind me. I recognize them as students in my in-person class. They say hi to me, and I say hi back, but then don't interact further. Through dinner, I'm just enjoying my time with my friends. I have a few glasses of wine and get a little tipsy, not rowdy or obnoxious or anything. I'm conversing normally with my friends, occasionally using cuss words like frick or crap or dang. Not excessively, just the way some people would in everyday conversation. Maybe a little more than I would have if I were not tipsy. But again, I'm not speaking loudly or anything, just having normal conversations with my friends. One of the moms then comes over to me and reminds me that my students were there, and that I shouldn't be drinking and cursing in front of them. Since I'm their teacher, it was my job to set a good example to them. I just told her I was off the clock and that if it was bothering her, she could move or stop listening to me. She got all huffy, and they soon left. Earlier this week, I was called down by the principal who was with that mom in his office. She was angry and complained that I was setting a bad example for my students. And now her daughter was using some of the same words I was using, saying that if her teacher can say it, so can she. He asked for my side of the story, and I just explained exactly what happened. Given that she verified my story, he told her that I was not their teacher at the time, and since I wasn't doing anything wrong, they can't control my behavior off the clock. She protested a bit, but eventually left, but called me a terrible teacher. I thanked the principal for backing me up, but then he suggested maybe that one time I should have just stopped drinking and using foul language. I really didn't think this was a problem, since was acting out, just talking casually and enjoying a couple glasses of wine. But am I really the butthole for drinking and using foul language in front of my students while off the clock? Is OP a butthole? Noriabo has a clear verdict. Not the butthole. They can't expect you to be the teacher 24/7. Also, it's a nice teachable moment the mothers could have used, but chose not to. 1. Words don't have power, unless you give them power. Fuck is just a 4-letter word, no different than ball. 2. Teachers are people. Am I the butthole for laughing in my brother and SIL faces when they demanded to use my credit card? So I am 22F. I don't have much knowledge about finances and stuff as I still live at home as I'm at university. I do however pay my parents about PS $300 a month rent. I pay my own phone plan, buy material stuff I want or need, pay out for other services like for music or whatever, and try to put as much as I can in savings while still keeping enough in my main account for day-to-day purchases. Currently, I'm saving up for driving lessons and hope that if I pass decently, I can use some of my savings towards getting a car. I'm in my final year of uni, so I'll be done and able to work full-time when all this happens. I also decided to get a credit card so I can learn how to manage credit wisely and build some up. My credit score is good for someone of my age and circumstance, but obviously it's nothing great in comparison for other stuff. I should point out that at most I only plan on using this card with a total adding up to $100. I've stuck to that so far and only actually used it twice, with these purchases only adding up to $80, and I paid it off quickly. I do not plan on exceeding my limit anytime soon, as I've heard far too many horror stories of people just using their credit card too much cause it was handy and getting into debt. The only people I disclosed this to was my dad, as my mom has the tendency to blab to my brother and SIL, both 28. She happened to overhear us talking one day, and before I knew it, my brother and SIL got wind and asked me if they could use it. They both admitted they had debt spurned on by excessive credit card use and thought that since I basically had nothing owed on mine, it was free money. I told them quite politely that I was really uncomfortable with that idea and that I would owe them money, and I can't magic up that kind of money. Things went quiet until a few days later they both turned up at the house. They were nice to start with, but basically started demanding I let them use the card, and they tried to manipulate my mother into guilting me into doing it. I got really angry, and when my brother said I owe it to them because they used to babysit me up until a couple of years ago, I laughed in their faces and walked out. When I came home, I learned they tried to manipulate my dad and he kicked them both out. My mother then tried and he told her to go too, and she is currently staying with my brother and SIL. The only person on my side is my dad, who tells me they're all trying to take me for a ride and they're trying to manipulate me cause I'm young and they think I'm vulnerable. My brother, SIL and mom on the other hand think it isn't a big deal letting someone else use my card. It's really messing with my head, and I just want everyone to stop being in an argument. Am I the butthole? Is OP a butthole? Here is what the Reddit thinks. Not the butthole. Do not let them bully you into committing fraud. The only people to blame for their debts are themselves, and if you let them use your card, they'll rack up further debt. They won't be liable as it'll be under your name. They've stacked up the costs, so you'll be the one out of pocket, and that'll damage your credit score even further. I think having a set limit is really mature and the smart thing to do. Do not give in for the love of God just because you're young and don't know much about credit and finance. Your dad is right. They're trying to take advantage of you. Finally, here's our headline story of the day. Am I the butthole for letting my coworkers think I'm going through a divorce? My husband, 39M, and I, 24F, are moving 2 states away, as he recently landed his dream job. It's also in an area much cheaper than our current city, which is great. We have 2 kids, a 1U girl and 5mo boy. My husband had to move earlier than me to start his job, and I'm staying in our old apartment with the kids until our lease is up while he looks for a new place. As he was packing his stuff, we started an ongoing inside joke about getting a divorce and me becoming a single mom. And as he moved out, I even jokingly threw his pillows off our balcony at him while he caught them. It was hilarious. Then the joke kept evolving to where people at my office overheard me talking on the phone to him during breaks enough that they actually started to think we were getting a divorce. At first, I thought it was funny and just went with it, and then things got kind of awkward. 2 of my supervisors ordered tons of baby stuff for my kids online, namely clothes, toys, etc. One coworker gave me her twins' old double stroller, which has been an absolute game changer for me, but what really made me feel bad was when the owner of the company decided to give me a huge bonus and a raise, and people have been buying me lunch almost every single day. The reason I feel bad accepting the bonus and all these gifts is because I plan on quitting, but everyone thinks it's a totally different story. When I told my husband about this, he went on a lengthy tirade about morals, telling me how I needed to apologize and give all the gifts and the bonus back. I told him it was too late and I'm moving anyway, so who cares? He said this could bite me in the arse when I try to job hunt again down the road, but I'm gonna be a psalm when I move out to where he is anyway, so it's not like I'll be job hunting anytime soon. He then got really quiet, and when I finally got him to say something, he told me he was starting to realize my parents may have been right, which really hurt my feelings because his parents have always hated me because they say I act like a child, which is ridiculous considering I work full-time and take care of my own children. My husband told me if I don't return the bonus and come clean on Monday, he'll call the owner of the company and do it himself on Tuesday. I told him this was insane, and he told me I'm a mother now, and I need to start acting like it by setting a good example. I blew up at him about the amount of stress I go through taking care of the kids and that I am a good mom, and he just told me make your decisioning. Call me back when you're done yelling before hanging up. I haven't called him back yet. And this was Friday night. I hate giving my husband the silent treatment, but I'm so angry at him for the things he said. I know he's going to want to see the kids on video chat at some point tonight, though, so before I have to deal with him again, I think I need feedback. Am I really such a butthole here? Is the poster a butthole or not? Reddit says, well, this is insane. But yes, the butthole. If it was a couple items that were small, I'd be like, yeah, keep them. But you have been given lots of expensive gifts as well as a bonus, so you should come clean. Now it's your time to vote on the buttholeness of the headline story. Is the poster a butthole? Let us hear your thoughts. Go to the pinned comment under this video. Please hit the thumbs up on the reply of YDA. You are the butthole if you think the OP could have been nicer. Or press thumbs up on the reply saying NTA. Not the butthole if you are on the same side as OP. Feel free to leave your opinion and reason why you voted for the option you did in the comments section. And join the discussion. For more buttholes, subscribe to Sidebar.